Heyo, duckies and dice fiends, welcome in. It is Tuesday, and that means it is time for the Table Talk Show. We've got some awesome people hanging out in chat. Thank you all so much for spending your time with me. I'm Kay, I'm one of your co-hosts, but I'm not here alone. David, who the heck is you, and what the heck is we doing here?
I am excited to put a Costco hot dog in my face. But hi, I'm David.
I was just describing to Jago, my British friend, y'all, about bacon-wrapped hot dogs that you get like on the street vendors in LA. And he's like, we call them pigs in a blanket here, but they're small. I'm like, oh no, it's not the same.
My guy.
And I started describing it, and he's like, so next year I think I'm coming to America. Can I just come and see it? And I'm like, yes.
One of the best days of my life. That day ended stumbling out of a bar, and I mean stumbling, to immediately get hit in the face with the smell of the bacon-wrapped hot dogs from the bacon-wrapped hot dog lady. And then my friend bought me two of them, and I stood there and fucking ate them right in front of her face. Look, if you have not had so for one, Costco hot dogs are incredible. And not just because they're $1.50. Like, if you paid $10 for one at a baseball game, it would still be incredible. But they're not just incredible, they're $1.50.
I did not expect a hot dog derailment in the first 2 minutes.
Right? The only thing better than a Costco hot dog is the bacon-wrapped hot dog outside of the club at 2:05 in the morning.
Uh-huh. The Santee Alley.
Oh man, with like, and it's always like a short Mexican lady who's making them, and I love her so much.
Ooh, Costco opening near Matt, late 2026.
Ooh.
Yeah, there was the reason we got out of this is I was explaining to Jago, I'm like, I live near Santee Alley, and I'm like, some white Karen wrote this like, anti-Santee Alley, you shouldn't go there. It's dirty and it's crowded and it's gross. Like, you know, the Karen thing, right? And they're like, and then there were these like bacon-wrapped hot dogs, and it smelled so good, but then I felt ill after. And someone wrote like a reprisal article that's like, yes, this is why this thing is culturally important, right? This is what these people do to make their living. This is how you get this. This is how you do. This is why you go there. This is what you look for. And yes, you get the bacon-wrapped hot dog. And yes, you eat the whole thing. And yes, you feel sick the next day. And you know what? You're happy because you got to eat a bacon-wrapped hot dog.
Look, if you feel sick after a couple of bacon-wrapped hot dogs, it is neither my fault nor the fault of the bacon-wrapped hot dog lady that your bloodline is weak, okay?
Yes, go back to your suburban enclave, Karen. This is not for you.
Like, and to be clear, both Kay and I are incredibly politically motivated. We really try to like keep it from infiltrating our fun D&D space too much. But if you eat tacos and burritos and chili rellenos and like all the other delicious Mexican food, and you want to deport people, please get out of my country. And it is my country because in 99% of Americans, my family's been here longer than yours. So get out.
And you don't know which country you got to go back to because assholes who have my skin.
Right. Right.
You know, as far as anyone in my lineage knows, this is my country.
Right. Right. I got to work.
You who are so proud to trace your roots back to Germany or Scotland or Switzerland or whatever. You talk about what your grandparents did and where they came from and why you're special because of that. Cool. Go back to that.
Right.
Hey, Jason. We are on chili relleno. Oh, I want a chili. David, who the heck are you and what the heck are we doing here?
In addition to wanting a Costco hot dog, now want a burrito.
Chili relleno's so bad.
But hi, I'm David. This is the Chaotic Wholesome Tuesday Table Talk Show, where I'm not sure if I if I got the words in a different order.
Maybe I like
Show table talk, show talk table, where every week we talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better GM, how to be a better player, how to be a better person, how to love the Mexican hot dog, bacon wrapped hot dog lady, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity, so that everyone can have a good time.
I feel like show table talk is like kill, marry, fuck. Show, table it, put it aside, or talk about it.
Fair.
Anyhow, hey yo all, I am Kay. I'm also here doing this. We don't have a whole lot else going on, but if you were in here pre-stream, Five Guys. I also want Five Guys. Quit. I'm so hungry. Hey, Larian. So, you are, if you are here, you are seeing it first. Unless you were in the Discord where it is being discussed. But if you were on stream before, you saw it. But I'm going to show it again to all of y'all. Saturday. We are doing the second of our Magnificent Pride streams. We did Magnificent Juneteenth, and we are doing Magnificent Pride. We're going to be playing Monster Hearts with GM Jeremy Cobb of 3 Black Halflings. We have an incredible crew, and yeah, we're playing Monster Hearts, and it's the Manticores. That's the school mascot, is the Manticores. So come on by. We'll be raising money for the Marsha P. Johnson Foundation, just like on Juneteenth. And it's going to be a great adventure. Look at this frickin' table. Yeah, look at this cast. I am so excited. Yeah, we just got that flyer. It has not gone out on the socials yet, but it will later. Hey, Zycram, welcome in. So, yeah, I have a couple home games, but I don't think anything else I can plug right now. As you may have seen, Weird Wilds War did not happen on Friday. I don't know that it's going to happen next when it's supposed to, because the next game is on the 4th of July. Which feels like that's not going to happen. But we did wrap Season 1. We are starting Arc 2. So the reason it didn't happen last time was GM was like, I need a little more time to write things. And it's like, that's fair. That is beyond fair. Bacon cheese hot dog. Yeah, we also discussed Jago corn dogs. Because corn dogs are very rarely a thing in the UK. They're very hard to find.
I imagine so. They're kind of hard to find depending on where you live in the United States.
You can find them in the freezer section. And before that wasn't a good thing. But now that air fryers exist.
Yeah.
No, I also don't really eat hot dogs. So I can't tell you the last time I've had a corn dog or a hot dog. I can. I worked at DeviantArt and the CEO bought us Pink's hot dogs at like 3 a.m. Because, look, Pink's hot dogs are not good. They're not good.
No,
but
they're awful.
We had a shit ton of people from out of country and out of state come in. We had gone somewhere. We were all on a bus, a party bus, and had gone somewhere for the company party. The venue had shut down at 3 a.m., kicked us out. We were driving by Pink's hot dog. The line was like so short that CJ was like, stop, everyone's getting a Pink's hot dog so you can say you've had it. So we all drunkenly had Pink's hot dogs and then got back on the party bus and went back to the office.
Look, after hearing about Pink's hot dogs for years and then going and standing 45 minutes in a line. Okay, so for one, service in LA, like people have this like twisted notion that that restaurant service in LA is bad because everybody is just like a temporarily embarrassed actor, model, screenwriter, whatever. That is not true. I have had bad service at an LA restaurant precisely twice, and both were in bad parts of town for different reasons. So like not only is like are people nice, but service is usually really quick, and also this city is full of amazing food. So if you show up to somewhere and there is a line, you could probably go less than 2 blocks and find food that is just as good with less of a line. So the fact that I waited 45 minutes in the land of great food for these terrible, shitty, no good, overpriced, overhyped ass hot dogs.
Overdone.
Like
there's just they put so much shit on all anyhow.
Like I've never had, the only time I've ever had a hot dog where not just the bun was soggy, but the hot dog was soggy was at fucking Pink's. So to anyone coming to Southern California, there are 100 other iconic spots to go to before you go to Pink's. And you are much better going to Costco, buying a Costco membership, and then paying the $1.50 for the hot dog on top of that. And depending on your order, it might be cheaper.
It's true.
Ooh,
it's true.
Yeah, no, Pink's. And there's one taco place in LA, Tito's Tacos. Those two places, so fucking overrated. Do not go. And I understand this is a D&D talk show. We're supposed to be talking about table talk, but this is the most important crisis of the year. Do not go to Pink's. Do not go to Tito's. Please don't do it.
Pink's hot dogs, no. Pink's tacos, yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Important distinction.
Yes.
And no, that's not a brothel.
Actually, yeah.
I have
clear,
to clarify that for people.
Yeah, and Jumbo's Clown Room usually does not involve clowns. You can't find Jumbo there. He's not there.
No. Okay, yes, we need to stop talking about sausage and hot dogs because everyone is getting hungry and my stomach is going. Argh. So, with all of that aside, we are 15 minutes into this, and we're going to finally discuss what we're going to discuss today.
Right?
So, we spent a lot of time talking about player safety. Because it's important to us, and we've both been at bad tables. We've both been at real bad tables.
Yeah, we've both been at awful tables.
But, and that's part of the reason it's part of the reason, and thank you, Matt, Mimics and Misfits, we made the customizable lines and veils, Google Sheets based thing, so you can just, it's so easy. You can do the lines and veils, share them with everyone, protect player privacy, it auto updates, you don't have to do a lot of fidgety stuff. Very happy with how it came out. Thank you, Matt, for making that a reality. But that's lines and veils. We talk about safety tool. There are many other levels, many other layers to keeping players safe, and we wanna chat about some of that because some of the things that involve table safety and player safety are a little bit less obvious until you think about it.
And to be clear, if you play enough, you will end up at a bad table with a problem player. Like, you're going to have a shitty experience. Both of us encourage you to please, one, back away, and then, but also don't give up on the hobby.
Yeah.
And if it's your first time and it's kind of shitty, please take a chance with someone else.
And David will also, well, most of you, some of y'all, whether you've come into the inner circle, so you have ended up hearing some of my stories, or I've talked vaguely about it, either here or in our Cataclysm Discord. I have definitely stuck through some tables and even one campaign that was bad. because I saw the writing on the wall. I knew what was going to happen and I knew I could handle it. You don't have to. There have definitely been some like bad tables that I have sat through simply because I'm like, okay, this person or this GM or something about this is bad, but some of the people here are so awesome that I want to leave a good impression to hopefully get to work with them again. But again, that sort of thing is not necessary, especially if you're like, I just want to play one shots occasionally, right? I just want to,
And
you
and to be clear, Kay, with a history in the gaming industry and a history in sports medicine, and me being black my whole life and having to work for coin, both Kay and I have been in situations that were awful where we just sucked it up. You do not have to be that person, especially if you are like marginalized in some way and you are in a space where somebody's giving you don't have to do that. Like the days of us forcing our way, not forcing, but like trying to exist in spaces where we're not wanted, it doesn't have to be a thing anymore. And for people who are still trying to make headway in those spaces, like the gaming industry, we appreciate your efforts. I definitely appreciate Kay's efforts to make the gaming space slightly more livable. But you also don't have to do that. Like there are so many battles that need to be fought that you can say no to something. That's okay. You're not letting anybody down.
It is not true in D&D or Pathfinder or just about any game, but IRL, at the table, disengaging is a free action. Disengage. Hang up. Say your internet went out. Oops, can't make it anymore. Oh, that session went really, really bad. I'm going to take a little bit of time and think about it and digest it. Is it worth it? No? Cool. Hey, y'all, sorry. Some stuff came up. I can't make that game anymore. Trying to figure out where I can get a hot dog from now. I'm sorry. I'm so hungry. I cannot wait to eat after this. And I wasn't hungry when we started. Thanks, David.
Yep.
So much pride. So we also want to talk about, like, with all those disclaimers out of the way, and like, yes, lines and veils, safety tools, session zeros with communication. All of that stuff is important. But we also want to talk about like some more subtle ways that people don't necessarily know or realize or think about being part of player safety, of table safety. And some of this, honestly, some of this is just, I don't want to say common sense, but some of this is good manners that translates into table safety. So, one of the things I'm going to point out, and this is, I'm going to be very clear. Sometimes this just happens, and sometimes people are down for this, so it's not always a bad thing. But one of my most infamous examples of like, and this is part of player safety and player comfort, is I have all the redeems turned off, don't I? I was at a table with for a charity game, and the game was going long. It was going very, very, very long. And the GM did what this person clearly thought was responsible, and it was fair and it was thoughtful, but it was not actually the right way to do it. The GM basically, like, while live on the air with his face, with everyone at the table and everyone watching, was like, hey, we're already half an hour over. Are you all good to go for another hour or so? Don't do that live on the air with your face with everyone listening. Because if you say that, no one wants to be the person who says, no, we need to wrap it. and risk making an enemy of the audience, right? No one wants to be that person. Um, and in this particular case, like, look, I played a 12-hour TTRPG session while I was in England. Every single person in that group was down for it. We all signed up. The GM asked, did we want to stop? And we're like, well, if you need to. And GM's like, I'm down to keep going until y'all are done. And we're like, cool, let's keep going. That's different. Not saying that at all. But in this case, the person asked, hey, do we need to wrap? Pressure pushing down on me, pressing down on you. Exactly. Person asked, we want to keep going. Everyone said, we can't. Yeah, it wasn't the best game, right? It wasn't the best, but we're all like, yeah, we can, yeah, a little longer, right? We were all a little bit waffly. But then one of the people typed in our private group chat and said, hey, important fact, this person was 8 months pregnant and was like, hey, the baby is getting uncomfortable, is unhappy that I've been sitting this long. And the GM did not acknowledge that, respond to that, or even like try to make the session shorter. Because I don't know if he was just not reading production chat, which sometimes that happens. But like, yeah. So session length and making sure that you stick to roughly the session length, because we all understand stuff goes over, sometimes half an hour, sometimes an hour, like we get that, but making sure you keep yourself as close to what that session length can and should be, and making sure you're watching and checking in with your players when things go over. Because, you can say, yeah, I should be good for a little bit longer, and you hit a half hour over and people start fading, right? That's a real thing. David had a whole...
And like, obviously we've run a number of games, and we've run production for a number of games. And in both games we're running, and in games where we invite people onto the channel to run, one of the things we talk about is like, hey, we've all done this before. We all know that games in general roll over. Like, on average, our charity games run like a half an hour long minimum. But one, we're clear about that out the gate, and two, even before session 0, we're like, the game is on this day at this time. Does anybody have a hard out at a specific time? And like, I think there were like 2 episodes of God Playing, one from different seasons, where someone was like, hey, I have to be done at this time. Mm-hmm. And luckily it was K running, so like narratively we hit that point where it was like, okay, and we're done. But like at the end, like all the outros are really cut really short, and it seemed kind of because we had to be done. Yep. And we had to be done for that player. And anybody who's played with us knows that I personally, and Kay and I both agree, we will shut this shit down. We will turn this off. We will set fire to the internet itself for a player's safety. And then also like Kay and I have also been a part of games that just ran long. And like Kay says, like when people are cool with it, it's cool. And it's also a little expected, but it's also expected that these are people, and people who, whether they're being paid or not, whether it's for charity or not, are sharing their time and talent and energy. And you have to be respectful of them as people, and be respectful of them as performers, and be respectful of them as professionals. And if you're not going to do those things, and this also translates to in-person games, because Kay was like, hey, David, run a thing. And I'm like, I'll run a thing. And I was like, I'll be 3 hours, quick in and out. Like, no problem. 7 hours later. And again, like,
But
you
we
know,
also planned for
everybody,
that.
right? One, we planned for it. Two, everybody was cool with it. Three, everybody was fed and watered the whole time.
There were many, oh, we're all just getting up and bullshitting now. We're all gonna,
Yes.
like, it was, but like, I warned people. David's like, yeah, 3 hours, it'll be, and I'm like,
And it's funny because when Kay and I build a game, whether it's a module or a campaign, we always over prepare.
mm-hmm.
And then before the game runs, we cut stuff out. And then as the game is running, we cut stuff out. And so in the classic tradition, I was like, oh man, I'm worried I don't have enough stuff. And then I didn't even like get to everything in the one
Yeah.
shot.
David messages me like the day before and it's like, okay, I was mad at myself because I didn't think I put enough like backstory and history of like the setting, of which I'm the only person playing this one shot who knows the setting. I didn't put enough history and backstory and all and hints in there. David, stop. David, plan for 6 hours, actually play for 2. Exactly. Like, yeah. There's also, like, it is... I do recognize that to some people this is going to be stretching it a bit, but I think people in this channel will understand, like, basic respect is also a part of player safety. I have been in games where I'm like, I am fucking miserable. But most people, even people who know me well, can't tell. Because I'm like, I'm either being paid or I'm doing this for charity, right? And it is my job to look like I'm having a great time. That's why I'm here. So you won't know. I had one game. It was so bad. The GM had clear disdain for every single person at that table and their characters. Knew none of our names, got 2 of the classes right. 2 of the 5 players, he got their classes right. We were trying to defend a space. It was like a tower defense thing. We would come up with a cool creative way to protect the space, and then he'd be like, well, instead of doing what they were doing with that whole siege engine, instead they just cast fly and fly over what you did. And was just... It is the only time. It was so... And David knows. Some of y'all who've hung out have heard the story. I was on a stream. David and I were on a game. It was a streamed game. With a guy who actively hated me personally. And David kept going like a couple times, was like, and I'm like, don't, because he's gonna, I know his type. He's not gonna be able to contain himself. He's gonna make an ass of himself. He's gonna explode. If I bring it up, then I'm the problem person. Because I'm not, but once he explodes, it's gonna be so easy. And he exploded, and the GM did not handle it. And both David and I had to threaten him with pointing out to our, like, we had to be like, this is why. He went on a whole misogynistic rant, and it was vile. And we had to break down of like, you need to apologize to the audience. You need to apologize to the sponsors. You need to apologize to your underage daughter sitting at the table. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And I stuck through that because I was like, mostly because I'm stubborn. And I'm like, I'm not letting this jerk scare me out of the space. Right? I'm not. I will claim this space. It is mine. That game with that GM who was just like, no, no. Hey, Barbarian, does that hit your thing? I'm the Ranger. Yes, that hits my AC if you're hitting me. If the token that you're...
Also, this is someone that's been playing D&D for like 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
Like,
this
a
was
very
definitely
long
an
time.
old school old school. You know, it was very much the GM versus the players mindset. I finished that game. Didn't even say thanks for the game in the channel, just left the Discord server. And like, he was a guest GM. It was for a long charity thing, so I don't hold it against the channel. Like, they were just grabbing who they could, but I have never worked with that channel since, because I'm like, you didn't vet at all, and you saw that it wasn't going well, and you didn't step in, right? Because, like, look, it's TTRPG. Stuff is going to go wrong. Technical difficulties are going to happen. Conflicts at the table, conflicts of personalities, conflicts of I wanted to do X, you wanted to do Y, misunderstandings about what kind of game. All of that is normal. It's going to happen. What matters is how you handle it. And when someone does a full-on misogynistic rant on a sponsored stream...
That was the other thing. Yeah, it was sponsored. Like,
it was sponsored.
Like, it wasn't just friends chilling at a table with a camera on. It was a professional event.
So, and that is like the other part, even if it's a small thing, like player safety, showing respect, making sure, I'm dealing with a situation with a problem person in a group, and I'm not the person who can decide we need to kick the problem person out. And there are reasons that I will not get into, and that the problem person is deeply embedded, and it's going to take problem person being an even bigger problem for them to get unembedded. But like, more than once, problem person has been a problem, and they have not apologized, but the GM has.
And so two things. One, he specifically requested me to not be the problem. I am happy to be a problem. I am eager to be the fucking problem.
Yes.
Like, especially if you come for K, I will meet you in a dark alley in Minecraft, okay?
I'll meet you in a dark alley in a Christian Minecraft server.
Right. And to the GM's credit, it took so much more than it should have to get a reaction. But he did eventually go on stream, hey, sorry about this. This problem person is gone. Yeah. And as loath as I am to give him credit, he deserves at least a little bit of credit for that.
I take some of it away because he spent 3 sessions after every time going, so-and-so, just want to make it clear, he's so upset that people think he's misogynist. He's not a misogynist.
Yeah. The way he was apologizing for this guy. And it's like, it's the old, like we've talked about before, your community reflects who you are. And that is true both in like online spaces and with your people in real life. Like, if you show up to your own birthday party and it's filled with douchebags, then maybe, just maybe, if it's not misogynistic, why misogynistic shame? Amen. Because I spotted that guy and I was like,
Like, David and I made contact through the internet. Like, we made eye contact and we're like, this guy. Like, we knew.
But yeah, just how frustrating and infuriating. And again, like when it comes to being a marginalized person, and keep in mind, so like, one of the most important things that people need to understand, that a lot of my people need to understand, is just because you are marginalized in one way doesn't mean you are marginalized in all ways. Like, I've been black my whole life.
Also,
which is a problem.
Lots of people who are minorities in other ways need to know that.
But like, I've been black my whole life, but also I've been a man my whole life. So like, as educated as I like to think I am about a woman's struggle, like, women are going to know more about that and feel stronger about it than I am, regardless of how I feel about it, regardless of how educated I am about it. And that's something that I have to, like, not just learn to accept, but to embrace, because I know when to shut up when women are speaking about women's issues. And like, so
Hey, Vivian.
when we run into situations and that was a time when because like I'm still mad at this dude for being a misogynistic piece of shit and specifically going after Kay repeatedly. Like in the first 3 sessions, like half of the session was just him going after her, and I'm like, bro, tell me where he lives. I just need the city. I need his zip code. I will go door to door looking for this motherfucker. And Kay was like, here's how I want to approach this. And I went, I'm mad about it, but this is what you want, so that's what we're going to do. And ultimately, not only was I being respectful of Kay's experience and literal expertise in the matter, but also Kay was right because she knew more than I did about the whole thing. And guess what? It turned out exactly. Kay was like, all right, he's going to do this, then he's going to do that, and then this is going to happen, and then we're going to do this, and then the GM's going to do this, and then this is going to happen. And it all happened exactly as Kay laid out.
And similar things have happened. David and I have dealt with people marginalized in other ways who were being mistreated by people in the space. And I was lucky enough that they came to me, with the problem, with the issues. And I'm like, okay. And I have done these like breakdowns of like, okay, if you say this, it's going to go like, here's 2, maybe 3 ways it can go. Best way, worst way. I need you to know both. And like, I sat down with a group of people, like a whole group of people going like, okay, should we confront and or out this person? And I'm like, okay, if you do, here's the ways it can go. And I'm like, and here's the worst way. And people were like, well, like, I don't think we should focus on the worst it could go. And I'm like, I don't think we should focus on it either. But everyone involved needs to know the worst it could go. Because if you're going to put your neck out, if you're going to stick your neck out, if you're going to call this person out, if you're going to do all of this, you need to know the worst case. Because that's actually very important. If you come in going, the worst that could happen is he stops talking to me, when the worst that happens is a bunch of bad shit goes down, then you're going to be caught blindsided. And I don't want anyone blindsided. I want you to go in with your eyes open. And yes, Baba says, that's one of the cool things about people listening to what's going on for them and learning vicariously. Again, I have learned so much about things I've never experienced from David. I like to think you've learned some of the same from me. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but...
Oh, no, absolutely. So for one, Kay speaks for me. Like if Kay is like, David thinks this, that's how I think. The end. And if I don't think that way, I'm going to get right real fast.
Yeah, Rex says, I hold a grudge for people who treat my friends poorly, but I also wait for me to say get him. Yeah, and like be clear, there is a line to walk, right? Because I think this person is being racist to my friend who is marginalized. And like, yes, you should step up. You should call things out, right? You should, if you are actively in the space and bad behavior is happening, a lot of what I do is like, explain that joke to me. No, I don't understand. How is that funny? Right? Like, why did you say that? I don't understand. Because nothing makes an already funny joke not funny, like having to explain it. Having to explain an already not funny joke is torture and really embarrasses the person. Right? But don't start a whole campaign. Don't do a whole call out campaign, start everything, especially in the name of a person, when that person is like, I am not ready to fight this battle. Because yes, we should all be ready to stand up and fight. But y'all, have you seen what's going on in the world right now?
Right.
We don't all have the energy to do that. Sometimes someone, well, yes, you want to stand up and fight for them. At the end of the day, it's like, I am too tired. I would rather... Yes, I should stand up and I should make sure that this person doesn't do this to other people. But I also know it might backfire. I have been a marginalized person for long enough to know that this might backfire on me. And I do not have the energy to deal with all of that right now and the hate that will come at me from anonymous people, this person on a sock puppet, whatever. I just don't have the spoons to deal with that. And that is also fair and valid. And even if you keep that person's name completely out of it,
It'll come back. It'll circle
yeah,
back.
they'll know. Like, the person being the problem will know.
One thing living in Los Angeles has taught me is that even the biggest cities on earth are just small towns. It's a whole bunch of small towns.
Yeah.
And so if you are in a particular space, like as far as I'm concerned, the musical theater community in LA, now keep in mind, Los Angeles County has more stage shows than any other place in the country, including New York, who's famous for Broadway. And yet, I'm convinced the musical theater community is 13 people, 2 of them alcoholics, all going
Only
to the
2?
same karaoke bars. I mean, I'm trying to be generous here. I talk enough shit about musical theater people that they deserve a little leeway here and there.
That's fair. That's fair. Unlike the British food.
Listen, no quarter, no remorse. When
Rex
all
said
around
only
the
2.
world, right? When all around the world stealing all them spices just to come home and not use them.
Yaga, I will be joining the LA Musical Theater troupe and make it an even 14. That's why they wear a trench coat, to hide how many people are hiding in it. That definitely makes a challenge too. Going up against non-marginalized or bigger creators, even when they're bad, can have unintended consequences that make it hard to take up the fight. Exactly.
And this is why it's important to talk to the victims, talk to the people who are targeting, because again, in this game, like Kay said, it took 4 or 5 sessions for this dude to really blow up. But after the first session, I went, Kay, look, and Kay was like, mm-hmm. And then after the second session, I was like, listen, Kay, I will get on a plane right now. And Kay was like, no, this is how we're going to handle this. Because
I know exactly how this is going to play out.
Because even if Kay was like, listen, we're just going to buckle down, we're going to do this, and then never talk about it again, that was and is her right. And as angry as I was and am at that person, let me find this man in a dark alley in Minecraft, please and thank you. Will hit him directly with my cane in Minecraft for legal purposes. It still was a matter of like, not only am I not the one living in Kay's body and can tell Kay that she's got the bandwidth to deal with this, but also who could have known what was going on, like behind the scenes, like what sort of connections Kay had to these people, what sort of connections they had to each other, because Kay knew these people a lot better than I did. And it could have like if it had been different people in different circumstances, it could have been in a lot of ways very threatening for Kay, and it could have been life ruining. Like, it seems like every week we hear about some whistleblower that they come out and say something, and all of a sudden they lose their job, they get sued a bunch, they lose their house, they got to move 3 times, or or an accident befalls them in a hotel room. Like, the consequences can be really dire.
Just hope they don't work for
just
Boeing.
hope they don't work
Yes.
for Boeing.
Yes, that radar went beep, 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 because David was locked on. We were both locked on. I'm like, and again, I was like, I know exactly how this is going to go, because this is an angry, white, macho man with a small dick. And this is exactly how it's going to play out, because I've seen it play out like this a dozen times. So just hold on, because again, if I bring it up now, and he did, and the GM even defended, it's the saying that I defend occasionally because it can be done right, but is usually done for wrong. He did. It's what my character would do.
Yeah.
I'm not racist, my character is.
And what I find like even more important than me spotting it and checking in with Kay is if I didn't spot it, because like I feel like I'm fortunate enough to be educated enough to like spot that shit in the wild, especially with like current political discourse, because there are a whole lot of dog whistles, there are a whole lot of like hints and nods to misogyny, racism, and other forms of oppression. Um, but if I didn't know and Kay was like, hey, this person is a problem, it would have been very important for me to go, I don't understand, but I believe you. What do we do now?
Mhm.
Because I can tell you from both personal experience and from people I know who are Black, who are women, who are queer, where they've gone, hey, such and such is a problem. Or where I've gone, this right here, this is racist. Like, I had an argument last year with somebody about line dancing, and I'm like, line dancing is racist, and they're like, "What are you talking about? The great American tradition of line dancing to country music is racist?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's really it's fine if you like to do it. 99% of people who do it today don't know, but it is racist." And they're like, "No, it's not." And then that immediately sent me into both research and scramble mode, where I spent like 2 hours digging up a bunch of different links that the other person didn't read to explain to them, hey, this is actually racist. And also, maybe you should believe me because I'm kind of like educated on this topic far more so than you of white skin.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it was, so even if I didn't know, it would have been important for me to just go, hey, I'm going to learn more on this on my own, but also I believe you. What do we do? Because sometimes the biggest battle is getting the people who you need to support you to believe there is a problem.
Yes. And that is, I'm going to read off chat really quick because chat is fucking great. My character would punch your character in the face repeatedly. It's what my character would do. In a fantasy world where you can be anything, you choose to be a racist. Interesting. Of all the possibilities, they picked the worst one. And like, look, had I been at this table and David was running the game, it wouldn't even be the end of session 1. I would be messaging David mid-session going, this guy's a problem. Right? If Matt were running this game, if Rex were running this game, I would not be waiting because I know that these are people who will listen and believe. The reason I took so long is I'm like, I know the relationship of this person and the GM. And y'all, proximity bias is such a thing. And I'm not even talking time spent. I'm talking literal physical proximity because the number of times I have seen a table have a problem person and the GM literally sides, or the decision maker literally decides to side with the person who is physically closer to them. I mean, I can still count it on one hand.
But it does happen.
It's still a significant number. Oh, I did not know that line dancing was created as a tool to fight jazz and Black people keep the white youth wholesome. Yeah. Yeah. That's what, I mean, most anything, why is this a thing? Race. Like, it goes back to, I was talking to someone and they're like, why is like why is dental care like healthcare DLC? And I'm like, racism. It's because they didn't want to give it to
Why
Black
don't we
people.
have Medicare for all? Because we would have gotten it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
when in doubt in
honestly,
America, racism.
Yeah, just if you look at literally every institution, whether government or cultural, probably racist.
Yeah.
If not racism, then misogyny. If not racism or misogyny, then definitely both.
Yes.
The end.
Arms not moving and Irish dancing was that men would not get too excited while watching. Makes sense.
Well, having met a man.
So, and I want to make sure we say, like, this shit is going to happen at a table that you are running or at eventually. It will. That's just how it is. And it might not even be a problem person. It might be a person who is just having a bad day. It might be a person who is neurodivergent or incapable of reading social cues. It might be a person who is having character bleed. Which, y'all, next week we have Mentalemia coming on, and they're going to talk about character bleed from a psychologist's point of view. And I'm so excited. It's going to be great. This is going to happen. And it happening at your table, just like a table running over, does not make you a bad person. Just like, something like this happening at the table does not make you a bad person, does not make you a bad showrunner, does not make any of that bad. What matters is going to happen. Because it's a thing with a bunch of theater kid, drama queen. We all want the spotlight. Most of us have learned to share, but not always. And also, we're emotional creatures, right? We are making ourselves vulnerable and we are overacting. And that's what this space is, right? It's going to happen. What matters is how you handle it. Because again, had that thing with that misogynistic guy happened at a table that David was running or in any way in charge of, I would talk to David, not even the end of session 1.
Yeah.
But, so, again, let me be very, very clear. These things happening don't make you a bad person. What matters is, how do you handle it once it is done?
And also keep in mind
DC,
that, like,
welcome in.
whether you're a marginalized person or not, like if you are an upper middle class white dude Protestant in government and like, the great grandson of one of the wealthiest people on earth, like that person is just as likely to make a mistake as like the most oppressed person on the planet. And like I've done goofed a lot, especially with women over the course of my life. Like I'm glad I've been single this whole time because Lord knows I wouldn't want to put a woman through that. But it's how you respond to it. And it's also how you respond to people who mean well and made a mistake versus people with bad intentions. Because the number of people that I've seen corrupt or turn away an ally because they just couldn't stop dragging them over the fucking coals. Mm-hmm. It's like this person has stopped, has apologized, has learned, has done the research. This was 5 years ago. They've been nothing but an ally ever since. At what point do you forgive? Because if you make a mistake and you're permanently on the outs, eventually you will find yourself alone because everybody makes mistakes.
Yes. And that's not to say someone does a bad, and especially if someone has done a big bad or done a bad for a long time, and they say, oops, my bad, I'll never do it again. Let me back in tomorrow. They don't necessarily get back in tomorrow, right? That's not how that works. But don't go pulling up something. 10 years ago, this person did something mildly suspect, so I can never have them. What have they done the last 10 years? What have they done since then, right? Yeah, Rex says, we are very sorry. The racist jerk is having an internet connection problem with the chat software. We'll see if they can join us. Never. Also, right. Good news, y'all. Chrysicon did bring tacos. We were discussing hot dogs earlier, but I prefer tacos to hot dogs. I'm Texan in LA. Tacos, y'all.
Right.
Apparently, yes. During your rant, David, the caption said "nude Protestant," which.
I mean, they got to be at some point.
So yeah. And again, with all of these things, it's how you handle it. Let people see that you are handling it. Because again, if this guy had gone on this misogynistic diatribe, and the GM had been like, "No, that's too far. We're gonna go to break and talk this over," would have been different. That's not what was done. I might be able to speak up. so much the keep quiet, hide, get small, make no waves person. The mere idea of confrontation makes me cry. And this is also like, Larry, that is totally fair. And this is also why we're like check in with people. Because again, I'm dealing with a problem person in a group, and I love everyone in the group except this person. And not only the GM, but other players. You know, after something happens, check in with me. We check in with each other. We have like time to get together and like vent about this. And that makes me stay. Whereas if this problem person were just allowed to be a complete, unchecked, no idea if anyone else is feeling this, no idea if the people in charge have noticed, no, that would be a very different situation. I don't like how this is being handled, but it's also at least being acknowledged, which makes me want to stick it out.
And regardless of political affiliation, because to be clear, I have been at protests, I have been at parties with so-called liberals in Silicon Valley, with tech bros. I have been in a honky-tonk racist redneck bar where the bartender says, this is your first drink, this is your last drink, you gotta go. And to this day, I think he was doing that for my safety, not because he was a racist, but he knew his clientele. But regardless of political affiliation, there's a subset of humanity where I have to say, I don't know how to convince you that you should care about other people. And so much of this circles back to that, whether it is being considerate of someone else's time, making space for their characters, whether you're a GM or a player, or standing up for people who are getting static from other players or from the GM, because the worst is when a GM is being a dick to players for no fucking reason. But yeah, it starts with, you have to care about the other people in your party, in your game, in your chat, in your community, in your city, on your planet.
Mm-hmm. I had a whole thing earlier of, I'm like, you know, we should do an episode of like, and we are going to actually do it at some point. You know, there's a lot of things about how to, and I think we've done one before, but there's a lot of things about like how to be a good GM, tips on how to be a good GM. And it's also true of GMs, but it's even, do you want to be the best player? Do you want to be a good player? Do you want to be the best player at a table? Care about the other characters. Care about the other players. That is how you are a great freaking character. In a way, the GM being a dick is the easiest. Ain't no swapping GM. Goodbye. Yeah. I chose to eat because hatch chili. Oh, I'm so hungry. Yes, Cryzacon says, I can put the tacos in hot dog water and make everyone happy / miserable. Only the best player, like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause. I will travel across the land. How can hot dogs? Searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand. What's hilarious is I was chatting with a friend earlier today, and I was like, you know how deep my Pokemon obsession goes? Do you know what a problem I have with Pokemon? I know the second the second chorus to that verse.
Right.
The second verse to that song. I know it.
It's like, don't tell me you're a Star Trek fan if you don't know the lyrics to the original theme song. Because yes, there are lyrics, because Gene Roddenberry was an asshole.
I will drop kick you. It's if you ruin the tacos thusly in Minecraft.
Yeah, how can something so good, hot dogs, come from something so awful, hot dog water?
I mean, even before that, I grew up in the South, y'all. I've seen how the hot dog is made. That's the reason I don't eat a lot of hot dogs. Every challenge along the way, with courage I will face. I will battle every day to claim my rightful place. Come with me, the time is right. There's no better team. Arm in arm, we'll win the fight. It's always been my dream. Gilmore, did I activate you? Everyone would love to see you. Come on up. You're scratching for a minute. The bad stuff boils out.
That's fair. The hot dog water is the crucible.
This is why ignorance is bliss. I never want to see what's in a hot dog. You really don't. Perfect timing. Um, we had another discussion point of like player safety that you don't normally think is player safety. But now I'm hungry and I can't think of it.
Right. Time. There he is.
He's been asleep on my bed, going like, look at how cute I am. Why aren't you coming over here? It's been a long road. Hungry players are dangerous players. Yes, bring snacks, but we've already discussed that. Bringing snacks is important. But also, like, again, checking in, and especially, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but also, there's a problem that occurs sometimes. And it's not quite the same level as, you know, racism, misogyny, or just being a jerk. But sometimes you have the problem of the least interesting person in the room is convinced that they're the most interesting person in the room, and are intent on proving that by taking up all the oxygen.
We ran a charity game, and I'm not going to say which one because I don't want you to identify who it was, but it was one of our early charity games. And Kay was like, hey, I invited this person. They're a great performer, but they're kind of a lot. And in my head at the time, I was like, okay, if Kay thinks this person is kind of a lot, that means they're really a lot. And to this person's credit, they weren't like terrible during the game. Like there was a little bit of, I'm taking up all the space in the room, but not a whole lot. But showed up first to the green room. And we went live late because this person couldn't shut up long enough for us to get out like all the safety stuff and the tech stuff. And then after the game was over, so the game ran like half an hour long. And then, you know, if you've played, especially like with us, you know, game shuts down and then everybody like hangs out for a little bit and chit chats.
Do some decompressions, check in.
All that happens. And most of the people at the table like really liked each other. So it was like another like 45 minutes. And then everybody else leaves the call. And Kay and I usually like hang for a little bit after that. Just to like talk shop, check in, remind each other of what our next steps are. And when I tell you that after the 45 minutes of when like the second to last person left, this person then stayed for another half an hour to talk at us, because Kay and I were both just like, another half an hour to talk at us about, I don't even remember what, but was just so self-important. That was like, oh, you two people definitely need to hear everything that I'm saying. And yes. I understand that you tried to interrupt me, but I'm going to interrupt you interrupting me.
Yes. Has tried to invite themselves back onto the channel 3 times, by the way.
Ooh, woof. And when I tell you that their cat on screen before and after the game was more interesting than they are as a person. Oh, like ooh-wee.
And I need y'all to understand, it wasn't that they stayed on for an extra half hour after to talk at us and then left. It was us finally getting the space to go, we need to go. we hung up the call and immediately started a new one because we needed to talk shop.
Mm-hmm. And we also need to talk about how awful this person was. Now, some of you have experienced this. Some of you will experience this. And I'll be the first to admit that I'm bad about attending people's games when they're streaming. Like, I don't even make it to all of Kay's games. And Kay is not only the most important person on earth, but Kay is also the best person. So if I don't make it to all of Kay's, then please do not be offended if I don't make it to yours. However, if you are streaming and we are friends on Discord, do not look at your Discord, because I will type at you and I will say the most outlandish shit. And I
Just
already
to try
have
to
a bit
break
of,
you.
right. And I already have a bit of a reputation for like showing up in other people's streams, like on Twitch, and saying some kind of outlandish shit on Twitch. The things I say in Discord far surpass that.
Yo, stop. Yo, I can't hide behind the cat enough.
And you know that Kay is a brilliant, amazing performer when I am just unloading the most just ridiculous shit at Kay during a game and they have zero reaction on stream. Like, Kay has been like, oh my God, if you do not stop, I will start laughing. And I'm like, Poke? You mean this is fun?
Playing, let me tell y'all. Playing, and this is not, I have to be very clear just for Matt, this was not your game. Playing an emotionless android while David is relentlessly ripping into someone on screen. Relentlessly.
And I say all that to say this. Like, there's a difference between talking shit about someone and like bad-mouthing people and discussing what's happening. Like, we're all social creatures. We all talk about each other. Like, Kay and I talk about y'all all the time and how fortunate we are to have such an amazing community and how great so many of you are. Like, and that's technically talking behind your back, but also we have good things to say because you're great people.
Yes.
And we also talk about what other people are doing because Kay and I both approach other tabletop channels and tabletop games as there is something we can learn from these people. Like, if you have a shitty overlay and a bunch of boring players, Kay and I have something to learn from you. And if you have an amazing, brilliant game with really fancy visuals and all sorts of like cool tech on your channel, we have something to learn from you. And we're going to talk about it. And we're not the only ones. Like, people who watch your stuff are going to talk about you. So like, put out the energy that you want to be received with. And also know that you're not going to vibe with it.
Yeah.
I know I don't.
And again, this
fine.
is why I have said I have been at tables where I am miserable. I am not having fun. You don't know. Because it's my job, especially if it's charity, it is my job to look like I'm having a great time. Also, welcome to Lamia. As I said earlier, going to be here next week talking about character bleed and safety stuff and even more cool stuff with it's gonna be great. I am so excited. Welcome on in. And let's see. Thing is, she could beat being a hater and a gatekeeper, God's favorite princess, and the most interesting girl in the world.
Right.
And then yeah, I guess as when Kay locks in the game face, it could be tough but rewarding nut to crack. There are some characters that I allow myself to crack more easily on. But yeah, it was outlandish stuff on Discord. Who does that?
Oh man. Listen. Some of the memes. Chef's kiss. Fantastic.
David can never run for office or be any kind of politician because if any of his shit leaks, it's no bueno. It's no bueno.
Like, Rex sent me a centaur meme that still lives with me. Anyway,
But yes, so look, and it's not a crime, right? To be the least interesting person in the room who thinks they're the most interesting and puts it like, if you there are people who can't read social cues. There are people, yes, centaurs wore pants. David challenged Ken Clavet for his seat. Yes. If we want to be a community, we have to get to a place collectively where we can talk directly about the bad thing without calling it drama. My kingdom of the TTRPG industry that can engage in healthy, generative conflict. Yes, and that's part of why David and I started doing and still do this show. Is it's like there are things that we want to talk about in a nuanced way that you can't do on Twitter or even Blue Sky, right? Where it's like, I enjoy this thing. I have criticisms. I have problems. That doesn't mean I hate it. I have problems with this because I love it. David knows we played, and this is not a slam on the system. This is how I engage with a lot of things, especially things I'm passionate about. We played a one-shot of Urban Shadows. And as it turns out, that system is not for me. Or at least the spiral was not presented to us, so I definitely brought the wrong character. But even so, I've since come to learn that most of the Powered by the Apocalypse games are just not for me. It's just how it is. But it was so, it was on my brain of, why did it bother me? And I did a bunch of, I started, doing a breakdown of, okay, well, I would want this, I want this, this would need to change. And it, basically became, I'd have to rewrite the entire system to make it what I wanted, because I loved the string. I loved a lot of what it did, but I didn't it didn't work for me. And it wasn't me being a hater. It was me going, this didn't resonate. Why? And that actually gave me a lot of insight into what I enjoy out of TTRPGs, what I dislike, all that stuff. So, again, it is not we can't all be charisma-based classes, right? We need tanks. We need glass cannons, right? We need people to go pew-pew. We can't all be charisma classes. But you also have to at least try and be aware, and you have to be open to criticism. And you have to, the people in the space have to be aware enough, courageous enough, and articulate enough to be able to go, hey, we like you, but here's a problem, right? There is an issue. We need you to work on it. And, if it's a one-shot, obviously you're not going to do that. You're just not going to cast that person again. If this isn't a friend, right? Usually, I don't know what I'm into, but yes, we do. So, yeah, it's important, again, that you build these spaces where players feel safe, because it is important to be able to go hey, I remember the day I was in a campaign with a person that I was this person is a problem. I have felt that this person is a problem since the moment I met them, but they haven't done anything. I've been a community manager for a long time, y'all. There are people who set off my community manager spidey sense. Has it ever been wrong when I brought it to you, David? It's so very rarely
100%.
wrong. It might take me years to figure out why. And this thing goes off and I go, what unconscious bias could be triggering it? Right, that's the first thing I ask myself.
And it's funny because there was a person in the community that Kate actively had a lot of respect for their performance, was starting to getting to know better, but every time I was hey, you should reach out and get to know this person better, and maybe we should invite them on. Kate was I'm not quite ready yet. And then boom, 2 years later, allegations come out, and it's yeah, and then people we know got done dirty by this person. And I was okay, you're really good at this.
And with this person, I was hanging with this group, and everyone seemed to chill with him. I was again, kind of with the misogynistic guy, I was I'm just gonna keep my head down. They haven't done anything. These vibes vibing, these not vibing for a reason. Yeah. It's like, I'm just gonna, and they kept doing, they were small things. It was nothing where it's all like, this is a problem, here's the proof, get rid of them, right? But it was just like, that's a thing. That's a thing. That's not giving me good vibes, right? It just, tiny little things just kept building up. Tiny little thing, little thing, little thing. Until finally, a person that I was closer to in the group was like, oh, by the way, this just went down with this player and this other person in the group. And I'm like, okay, so this thing is about to blow up. I haven't said anything for years at this point. This stays between us, right? Yeah. And then I went, here's a laundry list of things. And this person was like, you're right about all of this. I didn't notice until like a little bit ago. It took me, I noticed a month or two ago. But yes, now that you've said that, I see all of these things. And it was such a relief to be able to be like, yeah, I have a problem with this person. And I didn't bring it up because of all these various reasons, right? And there was nothing solid I could point to, but like, it's all adding up. And I knew that if I brought it up, someone would go, Kay's being the problem. But now that it's getting obvious, I can at least build the case. So when it's time, I can go.
Yep.
Little pings on the radiation meter. Yeah. When seeming innocuous things make your skin crawl while everyone else smiles and cheers. Some insidious, some innocuous, some are just like, and again, I have a distinct advantage. I have been a community manager for a very long time. I have dealt with a lot of, I am never I'm never going to look at someone and go like, I think you have this mental illness, right? But it's like, oh, some of those are pretty clear signs of narcissism. Oh, some of those behaviors look really similar to like this thing that's happening. I'm going to be careful. I don't need to get close to this person.
And I don't know what your particular malfunction is, but you're a terrible human being. The end.
Yeah. So again, sometimes taking up all the space in the room is just like a very simple, like, hey, can you be aware? But sometimes it's all like, hey, this is a bit of, where some people are uncomfortable. And then it becomes, well, you're attacking me because fill in the blank. And it's like, no, we're really not. We're having this conversation because we like you and we would like to keep you around and in this home game, but you're making it uncomfortable for everyone else. Well, if everyone else is unwilling to deal with me, then they're all a problem. It's like, all right, well, we're all going to be a problem without you. Thank you for your contributions. And again, building that space where people can talk about it and can be open about the things they're feeling, that takes work, and that takes effort, and it's scary. But wow, is it worth it when it's that moment of like, okay, we all agree. We can all come together. I had an ex who gave off little pings until I finally broke up with him. There was enough that I posted about it on Facebook almost a year after moving away because I was still carrying emotional damage. I had no idea if anything happened to him after that, but it helped an acquaintance to leave an abusive relationship. Exactly. I've been dealing with it for a long time in a different community recently, and the relief when you discover other people have noticed the same without you even prompting for it. Yes. Oh yes, like that time I got booted out of the whole project because my accountability standards for myself made the dude scared. Yeah, that was, hey, this person, there was a situation, it was like, hey, this person is a problem and here's receipts. Let me think about it. Okay, maybe it talks to another person who also has an issue with this. Guy finds out they spoke to another person, not even sharing their side of the story, just spoke to another person about, hey, what was your experience with this? And it was, oh, well, you're talking behind our back, so you're out. Not talking behind our back. The same person did the same thing to multiple people, and the people they did it to were discussing what happened. That's what
Right.
David and I.
And like I said, like people will talk about you. And you really don't have any control over what people will say about you. However, whoever you are, be who you are, and you'll attract the right people. And if a group of people don't want you because you stand up for yourself, because you stand up for others, because you have good intentions, good. Because you don't want to be friends with those people. You don't want to be embedded with those people. And most importantly, when things happen and there are actual repercussions for their actions, you don't want to go down with them.
Yeah. And like, there is this not fun thing that happens when someone is outed as a real problem, as an abuser, as a problem, as whatever. A whole group of people on social media will suddenly pop up and go, I knew it. I felt it from the beginning. Even if they were like singing this person's praises, I deliberately, like, David knows some of these things have popped up, and I've looked at David and been like, I don't need to go out and go, oh, yes, I knew. I'm so important. Aren't you all impressed by how much I noticed? Because no, they're not impressed. Because if you knew and you had proof, you should have spoken up.
Right.
And if you didn't have proof and it was just pings and vibes, and you still continued to work with them, you know.
Yeah, like if you knew somebody got on a plane and flew to an island where bad things happened, and you decided to like hang out with them and be their best friend for years, and then think that you're gonna have a gotcha when you immediately on Twitter say, hey, this person did bad things. It's like, that's been your best bud for a while now, my guy, and you thought it was okay until now.
Yeah.
Like zoinks Scoob.
David speaking all the truth, points at David's voice right now. I feel like I need to Venmo him $90 for this affirming therapy and words I needed to hear. My goal is that if someone is talking behind my back, the people who know me will go, wait, what? That doesn't seem like the guy I know. I think you're the problem. Again, this is why I'm like, David knows one of the reasons that David and I are friends is I'm like, David, if I fuck up, I need you to tell me. Because yes, I try to be very aware. This is one of the reasons I work with Candace. This is one of the reasons I work with, I like Lamia. Rex. If I fuck up, like, I will reach out for people for temperature checks. Because look, I know I'm human. I have emotions. I have bad days and can take things personally when there's no reason to take it personally. And I need people in my life that I can go, I'm feeling a way about a thing. Or even like, in dealing with some of these problem people, right? I get a tingle, I get a vibe, and I go, okay, is this an unconscious bias thing, right? Is there something that could be pinging off of this that I need to think about this, and then if I, you know, I'll sort that out, and then I will go to David, to Candace, to someone that I know, to Matt, and go, I'm feeling a way about a thing. Can I tell you? And the number of times I've been like, I feel like it might be a little thing. And then I talk through what it is, and people are like, oh, especially people like, it's really funny when it's like, oh, this is a small thing that's pinging and I'm not sure. And then I tell that to like my friends of color, and my friends of color are like, oh, no, I know that. That behavior, no. Like, their reaction is so much bigger than mine. Yeah, nothing wrong with a vibe check. But vibe check with people who will tell you if you're full of shit. Vibe checks don't count if you're only asking people who will tell you, yes, you're right, you're perfect. Because, yes, David talks very nicely about me, but David will be the first person to go, Kay, you need to shut the fuck up.
And listen, if you come for Kay, then I am coming for you, full stop. Even if Kay is wrong. Now, one of two things will happen. Either, one, I'll know Kay is wrong and still come for you. And then afterwards, I'll be like, all right, Kay. So that was a thing, but maybe we should talk about it. Or I'll figure out that it's wrong later and come to you and apologize. But the reason that isn't just because Kay is the best person on earth. It's because in the years that I have known Kay, not only has Kay been 100% right 100% of the time, but has advocated for people who, for whatever reason, were not equipped to fight back, has worked tirelessly to make all the communities therein a better place. So I'm willing to take, just off of, there's a phrase for it that I'm completely blanking on, but I'm willing to take Kay's side, sight unseen, because I know Kay as a person is actively trying to make other people's lives better, because Kay will stand up for others long before they stand up for themselves. And so if it gets to the point where Kay is like, nah, this guy has a problem with me specifically, that means you've crossed so many lines that I'm ready to meet you in the alley.
Maybe it says stop vibe checking with yes men. And Rex says, like, there's the Gen X habit of not complaining because that's just how it is, which is bad. And list of the people you check in, don't disregard. We dealt with, David was mostly on the sidelines for this, but got to hear all about it. We dealt with a person who had recently discovered a thing about themselves that meant they were now a minority, and it was their first taste of being a minority. And the first time they did something without asking the person, put words in a person's mouth, and that person said, hey, I don't know enough about this to feel comfortable with these words put in my mouth. That person went, well, then you're a bigot. That means you are...
Ooh, I remember this person. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh-wee.
And like the other person was like, hey, look, this is all the research I've done on this topic. And like dumped pages of hand-typed research that they had done about this situation and was like, I understand all of this logically, but also I'm not an expert. And in the field that I'm in, people are going to come to me and ask me about this. And I don't know enough to be able to answer well. So I would like this to not happen. And that person went from, person to person to person, went to multiple people who were also in that same minority group going, you agree, right? And everyone went, no, I'm real sorry you don't feel supported. And no, you are correct. They are not enthusiastically supporting you, and you have a right to feel hurt by that. But also, welcome to being a minority. And they're not being a bigot. They're saying, I am not an expert. I don't want to speak on this. And you did this you put these words in my mouth without consulting me first. I have problems with this. And that person decided every single person, including the other people included in that minority, were all being bigoted towards them. And no one would support them. And it's like, no, my sibling and Dice, we are actively trying to support you. But this kind of behavior makes it worse for every other minority. I gotta read a bunch of my former friend who called me hostile and not a team player because I wasn't her yes man on everything and stood by the things I believed in. So I'm very much in the always hold me accountable, do not placate me or enable my worst. Yes, exactly. David, when I get mad, I can get real mad. And I am aware that I have a temper. I know which family member I got that from, and I don't want to be like that. So I will rant and rave at David in private and then go, okay, with that out of my system, now we can talk logically about it. Real friends will snatch your edges and drag you for filth when you need it. Those who don't can be trusted to be a feedback person. Exactly. My friends will tell me if my head is getting anywhere near my backside or if I'm fully up it. Yes, like, you can't trust people who will not tell you when you're out of line. And like, I've had situations where like low-level conflicts have happened between me and a person. Clash of personality, like things just aren't going well. And I'm gonna call you out, Rex. I've had Rex come up and be like, because it's the TTRPG space, not everyone's gonna get along. I don't necessarily want to play with everyone I've ever played with. That's fine. You're allowed to not get along with people. We don't all have to be best friends. Rex has been like, I respect that. If there's a problem, you would tell me. Right? And that is the friend you want, who's like, I don't need details, but you tell me if there was a problem. right? And I know I would be told if there was a problem. And that's what we need more of. We need to be able to have conversations that aren't seen as drama. We need to be able to separate what is, I just don't get along with this person. I just don't like their play style. You know, I don't find their sense of humor funny. So I just don't want to play with them. Versus this person is a problem. You gotta be able to separate those.
And it's funny because, like, obviously Kay and I do a lot of vetting, both for the talk show and for games we run and for games we host. And there have been multiple people where I've spent years, literally years, going, I don't like their face. I don't like their Twitter account. I don't like nothing about them. Yeah, they can complain and share the game. It's fine. And because, like, I understand that my dislike of this person is a personal thing. Like, it's just an oil and water situation. And again, like meaning well means a lot. And I'm like, this person performs well and means well and does a lot of charity work and supports a lot of the same stuff that I do, and is and has a lot in common with me. And so they're fine. Like, am I gonna hang out with them? Like, are we gonna get drinks together? Absolutely not. Well, maybe if they're buying, but I will shit talk them after. But I'm not going to, like, professionally exclude them just because I kind of don't like their face, or because I kind of don't like the way that they are.
And this is again why I say when my senses tingle about a person, I go, what do I not like? Right? Is this just a me not liking? What could it be? And sit down and think on that. Because I don't go, uh-oh, this person tingles. I'ma tell everyone on Twitter or Blue Sky, right? Don't blast that. No.
And this is why, like, nuance is important, because separating from like Kay and I just, like, chit-chatting about people and me saying, like, dumb funny things, versus I legitimately do not like this person and they are not coming on the channel, we're not working with them, are oceans apart. And also it's important to recognize that part of that nuance is letting people find their way back. Like Rex said earlier, it's like, I don't have to let you back in immediately. I don't have to let you back in at all. But especially professionally, and in these very small spaces, giving people the grace to go, hey, I screwed up. I'm going to make it better. And like two stories come to mind. One is there was a home game that Kay and I were playing. After we finished the session, I had some throwaway line that was a joke that someone was really offended about. And the GM came to me and was like, hey, you said this. And I was like, oh no. Not only, like, did I not mean to offend this player, but the thing I said was not interpreted the way I meant it. Please reach out to this person. If they're open to an apology, I'm happy to apologize. If I make them uncomfortable, I am happy to leave the game. I spent weeks talking to Kay about this, fretting about it. And I had like a month of radio silence from the GM. And I didn't feel comfortable reaching out to the person who had the problem with me because, again, I'm the problem. And so after like a month, I was like, hey, so we have a session coming up and, like, I need to know if I should be there or not because I don't want to make this person uncomfortable. And they're like, okay, let me, like, reach out and talk to them. And so they reach out and talk to the person, and the person was like, I don't even remember what I was mad about. And I was like, okay, good. That sounds like forgiveness. And again, even if they don't remember what they're mad about, if they're uncomfortable with me being there, and or if they want an apology, I am happy to do both. And we kept playing, and, you know, everything was great and it was fine. But if not just that person and not just that GM, but if, like, that table didn't have the grace to accept to be back after I pissed someone off, even if I didn't meant to, even if I did not mean harm by it, like, it's still an important thing for the community to do. And like, you know, there are bad actors that you should not have around that do not recover. And Kay has chased some of them off the internet, and good riddance. But like the flip side of that is someone I'm close to had a problem with Kay and with that person, and just like was going through a shitty time in their life, and also did really shitty things, and was really like selfish and self-centered and just a shitbag. And a year went by, and they finally reached out to the person I was close to and apologized. And so I'm talking to them, and I'm like, okay, so like they're still on my shit list, and possibly will forever be on my shit list, because like Rex said, you don't necessarily have to like let people back in. However, how would you like me to proceed? And they were like, it's okay to talk to this person, it's okay to interact with them, I'm fine with it. And I'm like, okay. And I am willing to give that person grace, even though I still kind of hate their guts, because the person who was on the front line of being hurt by them was like, I am willing to extend this, the end. And it's an important, nuanced approach that, like Kay said, like, you can't get this on Twitter, you can't get this on Blue Sky, you can't get this on an Instagram story. There has to be further critical thought and further observation and further investigation than this person bad, tee-hee, the end.
And also, your poor mental health does not make it okay for you to attack and or hurt other people. It might be a reason you acted out. It might have been a cry for help. But just because you're hurting doesn't mean you get free reign, and doesn't mean you don't have to apologize. Get healthy. Get yourself in line. Get yourself better. But you can't just go, yeah, I was depressed, so it doesn't count.
Right.
It's not how that works. And then, yeah, Matt said, some people fall into, I want you to eat, but not at my table, and splitting that away from, oh, they're actual trash is very critical. And, you know, sometimes you just make space. Sometimes you go, I don't like this person. I see writing on the wall. No one else does yet. I'm going to not be near them. I'm going to back away. I'm not going to cause any fuss because I don't have anything solid. I don't have anything I can bring forward, but I feel. And sometimes the trash takes itself out. Just remembered repressed TTRPG memories of like the worst table I've ever been at. You know, that happens. And yes, we will need to hear the story. However, we are over time. This was a really great discussion. I hope, like, again, we talk a lot about, and it is incredibly important and valid, you know, player safety, lines and veils. Get your free lines and veils, auto-updating, Google Sheets thing. It's really, really easy to use, and I'm really happy with it. And thank you, Matt, for helping us put that together. It is free. You don't have to pay us. Just take it, use it, make your table safer. Lines and veils, safety tools, you know, session zeros, cool down session, all that communication. It's also important. But like, also, there's lots of other really important things that involve player safety, which can literally be as minor as, hey, this person is taking up all the space in the room and I'm uncomfortable, which can either just be an easy conversation and fix the thing and make the player comfortable enough to know that if a big problem comes up, you'll deal with it. I mean, that conversation can also spark, oh no, this person actually is a problem. And then you have to deal with that. But, you know, like I said, things running over, knowing how and when to deal with these problems that seem to be minor. And again, bad things are going to happen at your table. Things are going to run long. Scenes and sessions are going to go places that you were not prepared for, that you did not anticipate. Someone in the middle of a game is going to discover a trigger that they didn't know they had. And you're going to have to cut to break, discuss it, and get back on. Those things happening do not make you a bad person, a bad performer, a bad GM, a bad producer, a bad showrunner, any of that. What makes you good or bad is how you handle it once it's done. Any final thoughts, David?
Regardless of what you're facing, have patience, have grace, and care, because even the worst people I've encountered in the space, I've cared enough to be like, hey, I want you to be a better person. And I have not always had the opportunity to say so to that person, but I've had people who were outright shitbags message me, and I've been open to having the dialogue. And if you don't have like the space to talk to the worst people in your space, don't.
Yeah.
But as a general rule, like have grace for everyone and care about everyone, because you never know when it's a teachable moment. And if you have the bandwidth, rise to that occasion. And you never know when that person is willing to change their ways and improve upon what they're doing, and that you can help with that. Because like I said, there have been multiple people in the community that have been kind of shitty or very shitty, where the people they've been shitty to have reached out to me and be like, hey, this person is making strides, is better, has apologized. And I'm like, okay. And I think that's just as important as speaking up and supporting the people who speak up.
And again, when in doubt, communicate. There is a difference between gossiping behind people's backs and sharing experience. And the people who you share experiences about will call it gossip and will attack you for it, because that is the only defense they have. So do not be afraid to share experiences, and when possible, give a benefit of the doubt, but also like know when you gotta stop.
And one last point. Kay and I both have watched a lot of shitty TTRPGs. Like a lot. And if you run a shitty table, or if you're at a shitty table with a bunch of samey looking white dudes with an ugly overlay and bad production value, and a bunch of people have like microphones they got from Radio Shack back when Radio Shack was a thing. If you are having a good time, I am, one, grateful to you, and two, encourage you to keep going, because you never know who you will connect to. Like, I remember I read a book that was objectively the worst book I've ever read. I read 3 separate books while trying to finish this book because I couldn't get more than 30 pages through at a time. And I got done with the last page and gleefully went to the internet to see about how everyone was talking shit about how bad this book was. And the first 3 reviews of it were all, oh man, this is my favorite book. This book was so important to me when I was a child or when I was a teenager. And I'm like, how could you like this? You never know what positive impact you'll have. And honestly, a lot of the shitty games, a lot of the boring, like dry, terrible games that I have seen have been charity games. And a lot of games with problem players have raised a lot of money for causes that I care about, and even causes that I hadn't even heard of yet. And regardless of them being shitty people, I'm still grateful of them giving their time and bringing their communities to these things. Like, this is a world where we need entertainment, and more importantly, we need art. And it takes a lot to be someone who sits on camera and talks into it and performs. And communities, so all communities are messy. Like, anyone who's ever been to church even once knows that there's some messy shit that happens. And then
No one
if
gossips
you're
more
in,
than a church lady.
oh my god. And then like if it's a TTRPG, if it's a musical theater, if it's regular theater, if it's a musician, if it's comedy, like anyone who wants to put themselves out there is going to be of a type of personality that you get a bunch of them together and it's going to be even messier than usual. Not as messy as a church bake sale, but still pretty messy. But it's still important, and we still need to support each other. And like I said, you need to give grace. And if you are trying and you are doing your best and you are putting out something that you believe in, unless you're racist, misogynist, otherwise like bigoted, then regardless of whether I like your content or not, regardless of whether or not I'm going to screenshot it and send it to Kay and be like, look at this terrible overlay, I'm still grateful that you're doing what you're doing. Because you're connecting with people and we need a whole lot more.
I have been at games that were objectively terrible, but found that one person where I'm like, this person's coming, we're playing with this person. I don't know when, where, who, David, we're getting this person on, right? And it's like, I would never go back and play that game again, but I found a good one, and we're keeping it. Yes, a fully calibrated Rex on mic is impressive. All right. Whew, we've gone over today, and I am hungry. It's time for hot dogs and tacos, and for me, chicken thighs. But, you know. David, who the heck is you, and what the heck has we been doing here?
I am curious about what the rest of Kay's dinner is going to be. But I'm David, and this is and was the Chaotic Wholesome Tuesday Table Talk Show, where every week we talk about TTRPG stuff. How to be a better GM, how to be a better player, how to not drink hot dog water on command, how to be a better person, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity so that everybody can have a good time.
Again, I'm Kay. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the redeem, Zycrev and Ribbonanza. Perfect timing on both. Thank you, DC and Rex Lamia for hanging out. We will see Lamia here next week as our guest of honor, where we discuss all the cool stuff that they do. And I am so excited to talk about this because Lamia, as you all know, is the thing of my nightmares, a psychiatrist. Yes, we are blasting off. Psychiatrist who knows D&D, and there is nothing more terrifying to me. But before then, please come by Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. That is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 a.m. in the UK. Sorry, y'all. For this amazing table for Magnificent Pride, we are going to be playing Monster Hearts to benefit the Mersh P. Johnson Foundation. I'm so excited to see what these people get up to. Thank you all for hanging out. I'm sorry, therapist. My bad. My brain just goes, yeah, all of that. Like, I'm from the South. It's all the same to us, which is not an excuse, but, you know, apologies. So yeah, we will be here Saturday, and we'll be doing that the following Tuesday. David must run. Gilmore is demanding treats, so I'm going to sign us off. We'll find someone to raid. Thank you for hanging out. We will see you next time. Be kind to yourself. Be excellent to others. And we will talk to you soon.